Okay. All righty, Missy, it's you and I officially here for this board meeting until we elect the new board members to come in. So you see the treasurer's report. Our fourth quarter was actually double what our first three quarters were, which was really nice to see, wasn't it? Dollar for dollar, it was nice there. Do you have any questions about the report?
No.
Yeah, all righty. So do you agree to accept it as is?
Yes, I agree.
And of course, I second and approve it. So, all right, so old business. So at the last meeting, we had at that time had no new tent sales, but after the meeting, we definitely had plenty added in. 10 tents were sold after the meeting. Or excuse me, there was 5 and no new sponsorships. We ended up holding the event to a dreary cold day and zero, well, I shouldn't say zero. It was estimated between 50 to 75 people showed up for the event, which is a far cry from the 750 we had the first time around. Half of the vendors didn't bother to show up either. And I'm not surprised with that. I mean, all the cancellations we had and the confusion and stuff like that, the lack of money to properly advertise it because we didn't have any advertising compared to the first one. So overall, it wasn't great. Most everybody did sell some books, but not enough really to warrant it. And I did give everybody who attended a free booth for 2024, the June 1st event. Most everybody accepted it. Missy, I know you're still pending because you haven't decided what you're doing for next year yet.
No, I'm probably not. I'm not doing any events next year.
Okay. Otherwise, we're geared up and moving forward to get back on track with the June 1st event. Charlotte or Denise, do you have any questions about that this time?
And this was the event that you did in Seguin?
Correct.
Okay. You said you didn't have a lot of people show up?
Right. And mostly, like I said, it was the 3 cancellation, or that was the 3rd rescheduled date. So the first 2 cancellations, the first one 22, then May 23, and then finally November 23. So, I mean, the confusion, the lack of funding, all of that combined just didn't help.
And a lot of that with the one reason I couldn't make it, Alan, is because I was like, I'm spending more money to go down there because I would have had to stay in a hotel 2 nights, and that I just couldn't afford it. And I just think that was one of the reasons that I get it. That could have been a lot of things with a lot of other people, because we knew in my mind, I'm not going to sell enough books to cover the cost.
Right. And that was the case with a lot of people who chose ahead of time not to attend. And we just moved everybody, those people, you and those others, to June 21st or June 2024. It is critical that we have people attend the event, both vendors, but also the readers, the artists, and all those people need to attend so that everybody is making money off of it in some form, at least covering expenses, if nothing else. So that's the objective for me between now and June 1st. It's to build back up, get new sponsors, and increase our income. And we'll cover some of that later on. But that's where we're at this point on that one. All right. So let's move on. Let's see. In the previous July meeting, we talked about having subgroup boards so that we could reach out to the communities, the African-American, the Hispanic, gay and lesbian, all of them. And we put it out there in the newsletter and nobody's responded at all. And I put it out there twice. So that doesn't look like that's going to happen, unfortunately. Having, I think, the subgroup boards would really help us with the community outreach that we so desperately need. After July, I went to 4 different events in different cities. Got more authors signed up, did little videos with them and stuff, which was good. I shouldn't say sign up, but added to the ones or the Texas Authors Institute website. So that was good. You know, got some exposure, but it still wasn't enough. We need to be out there every month at some of these events promoting the organization, and that takes money and stuff. So, you know, as yes, we are moving forward and starting to see more income coming in, we still need to work on things, and we'll cover some more of that in new business. Any questions about any of that old business?
Alan, is there a way you can find out what events are going on every month? Because I'm going to an event in February, in San Antonio, African American Book Fest in San Antonio. But I had to just keep looking and looking. And is there a way we can, that we can find out when events are coming?
Yes, there's one good website that's been really good about putting it out there, and that is the Lone Star Literary group. I'll try to send you a link to them. They have their monthly calendar, and as long as they know about these events, they'll put them in there for free and stuff. But if there is a web page on their website that lists all the events that they are aware of around the state.
Okay.
There are at least 4 different Facebook groups that are dedicated to various author events. Some of them are regional, some of them are worldwide. But if you just search on Facebook for author events in the groups, there's going to be quite a few. I don't know if there's any that are just for Texas, but when it comes to like specific, Houston has a whole slew. There's going to be all the books, I think, in March. There is a BIPOC festival. This will be the 3rd year if they're having it. They have the regular festival and then the children's festival, usually on a different date. But 2024 will be their 3rd year. But I haven't gotten the email if they're having it again or not. I'm not going, but I did attend the first one, which was really well attended. It was at the Buffalo Soldiers Museum. And there's for romance writers, there are quite a few. There's usually at least 1 or 2 in Dallas, and then 1 in San Antonio and Austin. Well, Austin doesn't really get them, but there are quite a few. You just have to, like I said, search the groups on Facebook is one of the best way, or events. Also search events on Facebook.
Will do.
All righty. Next thing on here, oops. Okay. Voting for the new board members. So Becky was unable to attend, and Ernest was unable to appear, I guess. He's in San Francisco, so probably got messed up on the time. And then, of course, we have Denise and Charlotte. We've asked them to be a part of this. They were part of the Authors School of Business Board. And since we're shutting that down, you know, I invite them to join here. So Missy and I are the only 2 on the board that can currently vote you guys in. So Missy, do you have any questions you would like to ask them?
No, not really. Just, it's not a huge time commitment, but do both of you agree that when they're, not even just the meetings, but probably at least an hour a month at the most, dedicate to helping with the fundraising and especially getting the word out. I had one person at this year's Lone Star Festival tell me that I was the only author promoting the festival of the booths that were there that was promoting the festival on all my social media. So, that's a really big thing for all of these events. Every event I attend, I change my banner on Facebook and Twitter. I promote it, I take a picture when I set my table up and I post, hey, I'm here, come find me. And it's not that hard to do and it doesn't take that much time, but it needs to be done. So, that's really the biggest thing for this group, especially for the Lone Star event, is just dedicate yourself to, like I said, probably no more than an hour a month, which is not that much time. Just
Not at all.
helping to get the word out, looking for fundraising opportunities, just doing what you can to help out is really what's needed. I will not be running for the board again, so I will not be a part of it this next year, but that's what's needed.
Okay.
All right, so Denise, do you have any questions for us?
If I do, I can't think of anything right
Mhm.
now, but I
All
will.
right. All right, Charlotte, what about you? Do you have any questions for us? No? Okay. All right, so Missy, do you approve of having Ernest as a board member for 2024?
I do.
Okay, and I do as well, so it's approved. Missy, do you approve having Denise as a board member for 2024?
I do.
Thank
And
you.
I do as well. And Missy, do you approve Charlotte being on the board for 2024?
I do.
Wonderful, I do too. So now we have a new quorum. That's 4 of us, so 2 and 2, well, 5 with Ernie. So we have our quorum for the new year set, and Becky hopefully will be in the January meeting, and she'll be added in as well. And anybody else who wants to be on the board, Denise Montgomery, or the other Denise, anyone else basically, would be very helpful. So let's move into new business because there's a lot to do in a short period of time. So looking at ways of bringing money in and also promoting and get the word out about us, I created a promotional magazine, which I emailed to all of you as a PDF. Do you need me to open it up so y'all can see it again, or do you
Please.
remember? Okay, so let me pop it open.
And Alan, Denise Bryson was really interested in that because she used to run a magazine. So I sent her a message. I don't know where she is now, but I sent her a message. She was very interested in the magazine.
Cool. So the goal for the magazine is to do it once a year, and just have it refreshed every year, so that it's something that we can give out electronically, to get people interested in who we are and what we're doing.
Right.
And then also having a print copy as well, for those that are more inclined to go that route. And the print version can also be used for libraries and other programs, another way of just getting it out there and stuff. But it's a very simplistic 20-page program. As you can see, it's, what is Texas Authors, which actually went out in an email to everybody this morning. The short table of contents, how people can be a part of saving the rich history that we have, promoting the short story contest, as you see down the bottom corner here. That's the cover for the new book coming out. And then also the short story contest for students. Then the book contest, whoops, that's back up here, announcing who the winners are for the following year. Plenty of ad space that I priced at not only covering the cost of printing 1,000 copies, but then also to make sure we had, a few $100s left over, that we can use for operating costs and stuff. And this does unfortunately price some people out. Who's going to have $1,200 to do a double page spread,
Yep.
And stuff. But we need to go after those like Draft to Digital, and other businesses that do advertise in other programs and stuff. We have easily 7,000 authors that are part of our email list. Half are Texas, half are not, but that's people that they can reach out to and stuff. So we need to be able to find somebody to help get those ads sold and stuff. Showing the board members, gifting the books to the Texas authors. As you guys may not be aware, we have about 50 books that have been gifted to the museum. It's so that we can continue to sell and bring monthly income in. We're averaging about $150 a month in income for that, but that doesn't even come close to covering our expenditures.
No.
Of course, advertising. I took out a full page ad, and then of course Lone Star's there twice. Explaining what it is, and then also, of course, advertising the next year. you know, and then clothing items and stuff, which we'll get into, but you can see samples of the quarter page ads, which are only $200, and stuff. But that's it in a nutshell.
Nice.
So, you know, what are your all thoughts on that? You know, definitely share with me, you know, is this something worth doing? Do we strictly do electronic and then reduce all the advertising down to bare minimums? Or do we try for a print? What?
I think definitely the electronic is the way to go right now. What is the lowest price ad, Alan?
Currently, a quarter page ad is $200, but that's for print. If we go print, if we don't go print, I would suggest between $25 to $50 for a quarter page.
Okay.
Ad.
Okay. I think you'll sell it. I think you could sell some more if you do that.
Yeah. Missy, what are your thoughts? We lost you, Missy.
You're on mute.
Sorry, I thought I clicked it.
Yeah.
No, I said I agree. I don't think you should concentrate on print so much as online, just because it'll cost more. And advertising for online, what did you say again the price would be for a quarter page ad online?
If we do strictly the online, the electronic version, we're looking, you know, we could probably set it for a quarter page of $25 or $50.
No, you could do it for $75.
You
There are
think-
websites that are doing smaller, like business card size ads for $75 online. So yeah, you could definitely do it more expensive than that, even for online, because you've got to remember that with an online ad, you can add a link so that there has a lot of value that you can click on it to go directly to whatever that ad is for. You can sell them
Right.
for $100 each for a very small ad, less than a sixth of a page is really what I used to actually work in magazine sales, advertising sales, but it's been years, so I can't really remember. But just based on websites where I have been offered advertising for my books, a sixth or an eighth of a page at $50 to $75 is absolutely normal.
Charlotte, what are your thoughts?
You're on mute. She's on mute.
Okay, I was going to say, I like the digital idea, but I would like us to not, get rid of the hard copies, because I think those in libraries can be very beneficial to us. And I'm tied to several, libraries here in the Dallas area.
Okay, so what if?
Hang on 1 second on that thought. Give me just a second. Okay, so I'm sorry, I was conferring with my daughter who actually works in at the San Antonio Central Library. There is a whole process on having magazines distributed at a library. You can't just go drop them off. So I don't know. That's something that somebody would have to handle that. So I wouldn't necessarily.
I'm on 2 library boards. So
Okay.
But I wasn't sure how,
Yeah. I'm just saying, for the print, I wouldn't negate it, but I don't know that we would need a lot. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
it would be
yeah.
a big process. You'd have to make a list of the libraries, and you'd have to go through whatever process they have per county to accept the magazine.
Right.
So just keep that in mind, that it would be a process. It's not something where you could go to the librarian and say, hey, can I leave this magazine here? Because they won't accept it.
Right.
They'll just recycle it.
Let's look at this perspective. One, we have an email list for libraries of 3,200 librarians that we can definitely reach out to and offer them a free electronic version for them to get interested in. So that can be beneficial on one level. On the second one, if we start off with just purely electronic, see how the sales go, and putting money aside from the sales, at $50 to $75 for a quarter page, then by like March, if it's going really well and we can get the big ad people like Drafted Digital or Ingram or whoever to buy the good ad space, we could probably then print real quickly a small amount to have available at the Texas Library Conference to pass out, so that the librarians then have something in hand to go back to the libraries and say, you know, let's put this out there, or share it or whatever. How does that sound?
I like that.
Okay.
Lucy, you're good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, remind me, Alan, later to send you the information. I have the business card of one of the Drafted Digital guys from when they first started. As far as I know, he is still a part of it. When I reached out to them for sponsorship, they said that they didn't do sponsorships, but I didn't reach out to him directly. So send me an email later to remind me to find that business card for you.
Yeah, and which is interesting that you said that, because I remember you telling me about that prior, and I was at an event where they actually did sponsor it. So I was a little surprised to see that, but it's like, okay. But yes, I will definitely get that from you. I'll email you probably tomorrow about that. All right, so then in reference to the magazine, please double check it to come back with thoughts about the articles that are currently in there. If we're missing something of value that needs to be added in there, please let me know. But let's set a price. So since Missy is feeling pretty comfortable that we can get $75 for a quarter-page ad, then let's approve that. Let's, as a board, say yes. Let's start that.
Does that
for
mean
a
we
quarter-page
won't
ad.
do it? Does that mean we won't do a $25 one?
No.
Yeah, you could. What actually, I
Okay.
think you could do 100 for a quarter page. A quarter page is, you know, if you're thinking of like an 8.5 by
Let me pull it back
11,
up.
and a quarter page, you know, normally a magazine spread, so that quarter can be cut in half. So the
Yes,
whole
see
page
how
is
it is
8.
here?
Yeah, that quarter can be cut in half, and those are kind of like business card size. So that whole page
Okay.
can be 8 ads. So I would
Okay.
say do those smaller ones for maybe 50, and you could even do half of those. You could split
Okay.
that even into more, because, you know, like a book cover could fit in a quarter of that quarter page. So
Okay.
those could be $25, a quarter of the quarter page. And so the whole quarter could be 100. That's my suggestion. And that way you could sell the whole page for 400, or you could even knock it down to 375, 350 if someone's willing to buy the whole page. And so, you know, the more it is for the smaller ads, you could sell the whole page at a discounted price, but you're really selling it for what we originally wanted anyway.
Right, so as you see on here, the quarter page ads for Becky, Charlotte, and myself, okay? Those were set at $200, but if you bought a full page ad, it was only $750. So we made money on the smaller ads, which we would need to do anyways, just because of time involved in that. I wouldn't go smaller than an 1/8 page, an 1/8 size page. So I would say at the 1/8, which is still allowing for a book cover and some wordage, smaller, but it's still there. I would say put that at $50, and then put the quarter page at $100. And then if they still want a full page, then it would still be that. How does that sound, Missy? Does that fit in line with what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be good.
Okay, Charlotte, your thoughts?
Yeah, and what you're talking about on the 8th page is like a business card size.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so a business card, 1/8 page is $75, a quarter is 100, and then discounted $750 if they buy the full page, which is what I have. Does that work for everybody?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just to have it official, somebody want to second that?
I second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Let's move on. Whoops, I keep bringing that page up. Okay, the short story contest to continue, most definitely, because we've had some success with that over the years. This year was all kind of goofy. It was clear that by spreading it out for a full year for entries, actually hurt us. It didn't help us. So I want to move it back to the original dates of March 1st through July 31st for entries, so that we can have a book out and sold in October. As it is right now, the book won't even be available for sale until early January at this point.
Okay.
But I think putting it back to the original dates will help fine tune and push the advertising and promotion of it and get those people signing up in that time period to make it more profitable for us in the long run. Any thoughts?
No, I agree with that. And
Definitely.
here's something I would say about that is it seems more professional to have, the shorter frame of time than to just stretch it out.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
seems
That year is too long.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Also, in this year's edition of the short story contest will also be the poetry winners. If I ever get the judging results, we can get them added in as well. And we are doing it audio. I already have a voiceover person ready to do it. She's actually started working on the short stories. So we'll have an audio version of the short story book as well in early June. Early January. So we'll have the print, ebook, and audio for this one. And I'd like to be able to continue that on since it's not costing us anything extra in that respects. If everybody's good with that, just say yes.
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 All right, so the next thing then is the student short story contest. We did this twice, and then I backed out in 22 and 23 because the response in 21 was really low, which I understand because it's, coming out of COVID and all that stuff. But I would like for us to be able to do it again, but this time we need to make sure we have a good sponsor who can back it up with some cash winnings for the kids. They seem to respond better to that than just getting their name in the book, their story in the book. And we also just need more sponsorship to cover the cost, because sending out information to, I think it was 824 school districts,
Ooh.
It's a lot of money. And we don't have the email list for them, which, is something I have to work for next year. But it would start in 2024, August 1st, run through January 15th, like we did before, cut it off, make the judge, the winners, and have it hopefully available by May of 2025. So it would put us back into that format schedule, which also gives me time then to start finding the sponsors to properly back that financially and stuff. What are y'all thoughts on that?
Well, since I had a granddaughter that entered several of the books, of course, she's in college now. I think it's a great program, and it's a way to get kids. And kids have gotten real imaginative. They love to tell stories. So I love the concept.
So Al, am I understanding you were trying to send it to all of the school districts in Texas?
Correct.
Ooh.
Not the book, just the notices about the contest.
Okay. Yeah, but how did you, that's a lot. How did you get it? Could you get all those names of what?
Yeah, I have a database. It's an old one now, but I do have the database of the official addresses for each of the school districts. The first year, what we did was send out a postcard, 8.5 by 5.5, that had the information of the contest on there to all of them. That was more or less the most economical way. The second year, we did mailing of flyers, 8.5 by 11. That definitely cost us more, and we got a smaller amount of response, which I thought was interesting. So I'm going to go back to doing the postcards, and being able to distribute them prior to August 1st, so that the English teachers hopefully will get it. And that's the other thing I need to work on, is finding those English teachers and also working with the libraries, because they did also participate as far as getting the word out and stuff. So.
Just remember that some school districts are closing most of their libraries, so you might not have a lot of luck there, unfortunately.
Yeah, so it goes back to the English teachers and stuff. So, which is a good exercise for them, because a lot of them aren't telling the kids to write short stories or some kind of essay or something. that hopefully the English teachers will then say, hey, you need to submit this. I know that did happen previously. I had one teacher who had 3 students she submitted for. So that was good and stuff. But it's going to be a long-term project, but we do need to get that financial backing for it to make it successful. So if y'all are good with that, I'll go ahead and start working on that. And in January, or actually the April one, we'll see where we're at and whether to move forward at that point. Okay.
So if it's you're gonna send it out in January, Alan?
No, I won't send it out until July, because the contest starts in August. Okay, but
Okay,
it
but if you
gives
send it
me-
out, that's the end of the school year. So
it's the
that,
beginning. It'll be the beginning of the school year.
okay, so you're actually, okay, I understand. I was thinking you were send it out in January, that only gives them a few months, but if you send it
Yeah.
out in July, that's the beginning of a new year. Okay,
Yeah. And there's no way I'm gonna find a
Okay.
sponsor and do it that fast. And I don't need the stress. I just don't. So, all right. So if y'all are good with that, just say aye.
I,
All righty.
Aye.
All right. So the next item then is a new website. Have y'all even looked at the website recently? The Texas Authors?
not recently, not.
Okay, so we've got over 1,000 authors on there, which is great. But it's a lot, and it's also an older version, and we need to update it. I'm not going to do anything right now because it's going to take some time to research it. The guy who used to help me do it was living in Venezuela. He is now working a full-time job, so he's no longer available to me, which was a shame because it was really dirt cheap. And he did a good job with it and stuff. But I would like to start looking at ways to improve upon it, and see how we can make it more enjoyable for people to access and to find people, and stuff. We've got the search bar at the top so that they can just type in a name and it'll pop up with information about them, and then the link to the full page and all that stuff. So that's something I definitely want to work on and do. But before I do you guys have recommendations or comments on what you would like to see that have?
Oh, hang on. While I was looking at the,
So Missy, you and I and Ernest have talked about the website before and how to make it valuable to the authors to participate. So,
Mhm.
you know, Missy, what kind of thoughts do you have?
I haven't looked at it recently, but if memory serves, I mean, I know it already had like a short bio and a link, correct, to our website.
Correct. It had the information about who we are, what we do. It had all the authors listed alphabetically
I meant per
ordered.
author, per author.
Oh, per author. It was your picture, bio.
Yeah, picture, bio, and a link to the website. Honestly, per author, that's really the least, the minimum. I don't know off the top of my head what else you could add any more. I don't know how much would go into having a carousel of book covers on each author page. That would take up a lot of space. So I don't know. It's going to depend on your hosting and all of that. How much room you have, especially if there's 1,000 authors. I don't think you could do that. So I think just having the link to the author's individual website is really the most that you could do because of how many authors are on there.
Now, in reference to a carousel, no, that's eats up a lot of memory, having a
Mhm.
carousel. But having the books listed, we can easily do. We've done that with some of the authors.
Mhm.
And having a link then from that book to the Amazon page has been added recently for some of the newer ones. And I'd like to be able to see some of that. But that brings us up to also another thing that's further down in the list. So think about that in the meantime. All right, so at this point, I will look to see how we can upgrade it, make it pretty, make it work, and still have all the information that we have on there. All the book award winners are listed there. Short story is now part of that. The other award we were doing is part of that. So, I mean, all that information, all that history that we're adding is now part of that. And we definitely, we'll grow with that as we get out there in the community and push who we are and what we do and stuff. So if you think of anything, let me know so that we can add it in or look and see if it can be done. Okay. Okay. Next item is promotional products, and somebody's printing something.
Yeah. I'm not.
Charlotte, are you printing?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
It sounds like somebody's printing something. Okay. Let me go back to that magazine real quickly, because I wanted to show you. So on this page here, you see some of the creative items that we've made to promote and sell for people to purchase, supporting the museum and what have you. In some of the newsletters that have gone out recently, I've done that with authors saying, hey, you know, you can have your book cover on a candle, or you can have napkins made, or any of this stuff. Do we want to continue to encourage those type of marketing items for authors to have access to purchase and use? Or are we wasting our time? I mean,
How cost effective is it?
okay, so for a set of mugs that we recently did, we made $30 off of that. For a smaller set of mugs and candles, we made about $15 off of that. So there's small bits and change that can be made off of it, but it's a service that we're offering the authors so that they don't have to go out there and have it created themselves. They can use us to do that. So I'm looking at it as a service concept to have available. Which
Are
then
you
also,
using, is it your time to actually create the item itself, or are they sending you, are you having them send you like exactly what they want on there?
they're sending exactly what they want. All I do is add it in. So we're looking, on average, it costs me time-wise 15, 20 minutes to do.
Well, then I think if you're making anything off of it and not really losing a whole lot of time, unless, you know, you really need all those minutes back, I wouldn't see the problem with keeping it, because I know a lot of other places to get this sort of thing for myself, but there's a lot of authors who don't, or don't want to research to find the different places to get these items. So, you know, even if you only have a couple, you know, every couple of months, I mean, that it still would help.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm looking at it as a service item for the authors, as another tool for marketing and stuff. All right. Anybody else have thoughts on that?
That was all I was saying too. If it's going to be worth it for your time to be able to do that, that's fine.
Okay. All righty. So I will continue to work on that and put that out there for the authors who need it and stuff. So that brings us to the membership. I sent you all something this morning about 3 levels of membership. We need to bring in, on average, $1,000 a month to cover expenses and to be able to have the money necessary to do the Lone Star Festival, to do other programs and stuff like that. So I was looking at the possibility of memberships, and have you all had a chance to look at it? And if so, what are your thoughts?
Alan, you sent it today?
Yeah. All right, so let me pull it up. Here it is. So the first level is free, you know, and that includes what we've already been doing, which is the author's picture, bio, and then the image of the books they've written with the links to Amazon. So that's free to any author, okay? And we've done that for years. But like I said, we need to get some income in. So I'm looking at these alternatives as well. So for $50 for a year, they get the basics, but then we'll add in their social media links or their personal website to the page. We'll also give them a 30-minute interview that, you know, we'll put out on our social media and our YouTube like we've done before, that they can use. And then we'll include once every 3 months a social media posting for that author about whichever book they want. So they get additional exposure to our we're at about 25,000 social media followers on everything but LinkedIn. LinkedIn is different. So that would be the second tier, $50 a year. Then the third year would include all of that, but we would also add in a social media posting of them once a month, and then also give them discounts on different programs. So if they chose to do short story contests, they would get a 10% discount. Or if they attended one of the classes that I'm working on to have throughout the year via Zoom, they'd get a discount off of that. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So thoughts? Is this something we should consider? Let's start there.
Okay, social media postings off that looks. Okay. Can you go back down, go up so I can see what's offered at the free?
The
Okay,
free is just their picture, the bio, and the link, their books with the links to Amazon.
I don't think you should include the image.
Yeah.
Honestly,
She-
that takes up more space and that,
Yes.
that has value. I don't think you should include the image for free, just the link, like just the name
Yeah.
of the book with a link.
That's it.
The image should be at least at the $50 level.
Okay.
I just think you're giving too much for the free, because really that's basically all authors want anyway. It's just their
Mhm.
bio and their image and a link. So no.
Okay.
I mean, we're trying to give them an incentive to pay the $50.
Correct.
Mhm. And maybe just okay, instead of Amazon link, why don't you just put a link to their website? Because honestly, not everybody is selling on Amazon.
True.
I would just put website there, and then I think you have lower than that link to the website of their choice. That's fine, because there's Linktree now that people could put in a Linktree, and that goes to everything.
Right. Okay. So Charlotte, what do you think as far as the bid, doing the interviews? Because I know you and a couple of others wanted to get back doing the interviews. But
Well-
if it's part of a membership, then we can do that and cover our expenditures.
Right. And I was thinking that to do an interview, because I have done interviews for other programs and paid a fee of $15 or $20 or whatever to be interviewed, and have that to use on my YouTube or my my websites. So I don't think anyone that wants, I think we should charge for the interview. But if it's part of the $50, I think that's okay. Now, are we limiting that to one interview a year, or because I
Or-
don't see that?
Yeah.
Is it 1:30? Oh, it's 1 30-minute interview. Is that what that's?
Correct.
Okay.
And most authors are only doing one book a year anyways.
Right.
There's a few exceptions, but most of them only do the one. So I think that's sufficient for both price levels, the $50 or the $100.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the social media posting? Is that value to, Missy? I mean, is this help you as an author to have other people post out there?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Denise, I saw you shaking your head.
But you need to specify which social media, because Twitter or X or whatever the hell it is now, it's losing its value. So I
Correct.
think you need to concentrate on Instagram if that's something that you're using, and if not, that's definitely something you should start using. TikTok I wouldn't worry about because it's videos, but
Actually, it has a lot of people with books on there and stuff. So it
yeah,
is a good
I
tool.
know,
So-
but unless you hit that right book talk, I mean, it's TikTok's a lot of work. I refuse to do it, but
Mhm.
if you want to put that time in, and all these other ones, Threads, Blue Sky, I mean, it's a lot. So just for your own mental health, I wouldn't promise any more than maybe 3 social media platforms per $50 or something, 2 or 3, you know, make sure you limit it, because if not, you're going to have a lot to do.
Okay. All right.
And like she said, TikTok is just, I'm TikToked out. It's too much work.
It is a lot of work, and we
It's too
figured out
much.
a way to do it on with just the image of the person or the book and just 30 seconds, and that's it. It's short, sweet template we've created for that. Charlotte, what about you? Your thoughts?
No, I think y'all are right on.
All right. Now for the $100, the only really additional thing is they get extra posting, but they also get the discounts on other things. Is this sufficient enough, you know, for an extra $50 a year, or what are we missing that will make it valuable to them to sign up and do?
Maybe offer, if they have a new release, just one new release, an extra post on social media, across all social media platforms for a new release, 1 per year.
Yeah.
In addition to, you know, whatever the other social media post is.
Maybe if they're doing some type of an event, you know, I'm gonna be here doing this event. They could post something. You could post something about it.
Okay.
Yeah, that or the new release, like one
There you go.
special post per year or something.
Okay.
Um,
So either a new book release, or if you're doing a special event somewhere, maybe you're speaking at some places. Okay, you could do that one.
okay. All right. What other thoughts?
Well, what would it hurt to give them 2 interviews a year?
Would they really use it? I mean, for those that are writing more, yes, that would be a value, but otherwise, you know, it's just they've got 1 book a year at best.
Yeah.
Well, I use mine and I put them out there on my, you know, websites, and I use them, you know, that way.
What about, remember we did those questions at the end of the interviews for
Yeah.
a while there? And we did those as individual videos that they could use on their social media. So
Right.
for the $100, we would add that in. So they do
Yeah,
the
that would-
interview, then they have those 4 specific short interview questions that they can then use.
Yeah,
So-
so that's like getting 2. Yeah.
Right. And that's, again, something they can use on their social media, like TikTok if they wanted to, or whatever. Okay. Anything else? All right, and then it's something we can add on as the year goes too. So, I mean, that's something we could add in, maybe an audio book from the top 10 series, so that they have an educational book, whether it be an ebook or audio book that they can go back and learn from and stuff. But is that worth $100?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so too, because of the social media posting 1 per month. I mean, that's helpful, because it's, you know, it takes a lot of time. You know, if you're wanting to add more to it, you could say, you know, offer 1, like you design the post for them, you know, or whatever. But
Help
just,
them with it, yeah.
yeah, just the 1 time though, because you could always repost it. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I think so.
All righty. All right, well, with this then, who would like to second it?
Second.
I'll
I'll-
say,
Okay.
Okay, and all in favor, please say aye.
I
All righty, we're moving right along here. Other than those things that we've talked about so far, is there anything else that all right, for an example, at the Lone Star Festival, I had a conversation with a film production company And so I'm talking tomorrow about doing a class online that the authors can get into to learn what it takes, what it's required, how to get their books into movies, basically. So that type of programming I want to continue throughout the year. Is that of value to the membership, and something that, will be used? Or are we just beating ourselves up and doing what we did before and, should just let that go? Or are we missing something that can be of value to the authors to help them succeed?
Well, what I'm wondering, Alan, is I get calls all the time, but a lot of them, they want them, they're looking for money and they're, it really doesn't go anywhere.
Right. Yeah. And I definitely want to stay away from those.
I get a lot of people asking me, how do I get an agent? They always asking, well, how do you get an agent? Or how do, so a lot of people don't seem to know. I don't know myself. So they want to know how to get an agent.
Okay. So in the author's marketing event, we did have an agent do a Zoom call and explain the process and all that. We do have the video still for that. So I can always make that available again. So are those type of sessions something that we should be doing? Or again, are we just wasting time on that?
Is there much money and time involved in that, Alan?
Researching them is really the most time-consuming aspect. And whether they require funding would be passed on then to the authors. If they want to participate, it would cost them X number of dollars to have access to the video or to the session.
What I would suggest is at least once a year, maybe even every 6 months, send out a survey asking all the members if they have any need or interest in any specific, but don't just leave it open, list the specific resources. And that way you'll know, because like me personally, I have no interest in talking to anybody about making one of my books into a movie at this time. That doesn't mean that wouldn't change, but if you don't have anybody wanting to do that, in the next year, then there's no point in putting any effort into it right now.
And Alan, have you ever thought about, instead of just like you put it in on the website, maybe every once in a while, do a Zoom call, advertise it on social media that we're doing a Zoom call on this and have people pay. You could charge them for the 1 or 2 hour class and that would generate revenue. Does that, you understand what I'm saying?
Right. And that's similar to what we're talking about.
Okay.
It's just getting those people to come in, do whatever session topic, and whether or not we have to charge or not charge, that depends on a lot of things. But yeah, I mean, if there's a value to it, I'll continue to search those things out and to do it, because I want to make sure we have value for the authors. So that's the impression I'm getting from most all of you. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So next thing then is the Lone Star Festival for the African American community. I've been talking with members from the African American community about doing a specific Lone Star event for them in 2025. A lot of them were definitely, yes, let's do it. But as Denise and I were talking earlier, we need to come up with a name that is fitting for it, and then finding a city that is willing to do it. And that also goes to having a city for the Lone Star Festival after 2024 as well. And I'm looking at Victoria and Lockhart for that. Their town squares are identical to Seguin in that respect, and so there's plenty of space and they are interested. So it's just working through that process. But for the African American community, is this something we want to look at? It's 2025, so I've got 18 months to plan it, to work it, to make it happen. And, building the interest now, we've got, I think, about 24 authors that are interested in it. And I've got one musician who's interested. So it's just continually building on that and making that happen and stuff. So thoughts?
Yeah, I know I get a lot of people asking about events for African American books. So I know I could get some people to come. We just need to do it because they've already been asking me.
And, based on the success of this, I want to also then make sure we can include other ethnic communities as well, because
Right.
I don't want them missing out on
Mm-mm.
potential growth and supporting of their communities and stuff. Because writing's for everybody. It's not just one particular person or age or whatever. So I want to make sure we can do something that involves communities and they are seen and heard and celebrated. All right, thoughts, comments?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're all in favor of me furthering that along, please say aye.
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 Thank you. All right, so the last main thing on this, and I'm surprised we're actually getting through it, is the hiring a staff member to raise money for TAH. We need money, there's no doubt about it. And I don't have the time with everything else I'm already doing to be out there trying to figure out where the money is. Missy has been a great help this past year on sending me information about programs that we could potentially qualify for, but do or don't, and what have you. But we need someone who's willing to do this and be paid for it. Currently, we, of course, don't have the money to pay them a salary, so the best we can do is offer them a percentage of what they bring in. Being how tight finances are for a lot of people, the responses have not been overwhelmingly exciting because they need that income, and I get that. But we need to be able to do this and find somebody who's willing to do it part-time from their home, a mother, a stay-home mother or whatever. But we also need to make this official through the board to be able to properly do this. So that's my idea on that. What do you guys think?
I think before you go any further into that, the wall that I was coming up against was the paperwork for our 501c3 or whatever we are designated as. That needs to be crystal clear, because I can tell you from fundraising, not only for us, but for other organizations, that's the first thing that's going to be asked with proof required. So all of that needs to be extremely ducks lined up in a row, all the T's crossed and I's dotted before you even try to pull someone into doing that work.
Okay,
But
so
once that's settled, then yes, I don't think there would be anything wrong with having someone on a commission basis, so long as they understand that it is solely a commission basis, that there is no base pay.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, they're 1099. So, whatever they earn, that's on their time, their schedule, et cetera. So let's clarify some things. Our 501c3 status is there. It's good. Nothing's changed on that. Our incorporation paperwork here in the state of Texas is good. There's nothing wrong with that. What Missy was referring to most specifically was the audited bank accounting records. We don't have that because we have not had the money to get an audited bank system done, set up properly and stuff. And that's where we've been hurting on having the finances approved for grants and programs and stuff. They want to know that we're legit in that respect. Yes, they can see us on the computer system for all the other stuff, but they need that financial to be certified that we're not playing games with the money and all that stuff. And I totally get that. So that is something we definitely need to work on this year because we're missing out on opportunities to get funding for Lone Star through the Arts Commission. They won't touch us because we don't have that. So something like that will cost us anywhere from $300 to $700, $300 to $700. And, like I said, we don't have that money. So I'm hoping that by having somebody who can come in this staff position to at least get us sponsorship money that doesn't require that paperwork, like HEB, they don't require that. The local hospital chain or any of those things that are smaller in that respect don't require that. But if they can bring the money in to help us cover the expenditure of that audited report, that helps us move to that next level that Missy's talking about. And we need it. There's no doubt about it. So I'm trying to figure out a way to bring the money in to help us get to that point so that we can move to that next level and properly do grants and all that other stuff through, you know, all the different programs that are out there. So,
And Alan, I know you know this, but I mean, there's certain people that are really good grant writers. I mean, there's a way you do that. I'm not an expert. And the reason I know about this is my daughter's a curator of an art gallery in Arkansas, and they have a grant writer. She said,
Right.
Mom, I could never do that. That was, that's not her, but it needs to be someone that knows how to write those grants.
right. And we do have 2 people for that, but both of them want to charge us up front. They don't want to take commission. They want paid up front, X number of dollars. They will write the grant, regardless if it gets it or not. They don't
Yeah.
care. It's like a PR person. It's like, yeah, we'll do the legwork, but we can't guarantee you're going to have success with it.
Right.
So, and so again, we're back to needing that money to come in so we can do that and have everything, as Missy said, the ducks in the row and stuff. Any more comments? Okay, so as far as trying to find somebody to help us with getting member sponsorship in and other sources of income and move us into the next level and stuff as a 1099 contract employee who only receives a minimum of 10% from everything they bring in. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
I
Okay. So oddly enough, we got through this. I'm excited we did. Thank you very much. But as always, is there anything that I'm missing that I need to look at to help with this? And one of those things that I forgot to add on here is we need to start looking at somebody to take over for me. You know, with my kidney failing, you know, that there's no term as to how long I'm going to be around and stuff. And we need someone to be able to step in and take over who's younger, 40s, 30s, whatever, you know, to help build us and to help us grow and stuff. So, you know, that's something we need to start looking at as well and stuff. But is there anything else I'm missing?
I think so.
All right, well, if you think of anything, please email me, let me know. Denise, please reach out to Denise and you
I
know,
will.
say, hey, we need you.
All right.
I will schedule a board meeting in January. It'd be mid-January, you know, once we get past those holidays and wrap up all of our trees and ornaments and all that fun stuff. Missy, I want to thank you very much for being on the board this year. Your information that you have sent us has helped immensely, and I do appreciate that. I know finding those programs is not easy, and it does take time, and I appreciate the time you put into doing that.
no problem.
Well, if there's nothing else, would somebody like to second closure of the board?
I
Meeting.
second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
I
Y'all have a good night. Thank you very
You
much
too.
for your time.
And Merry
All right.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.